Now, while most of the results are behind us in terms of result season, a lot of the NBFCs who are following the Ind AS accounting standards will be reporting numbers. DHFL is one of those stocks which will be reporting its numbers today. Remember, has been a big loser in the NBFC space, down about 61% from the start of this year. And ahead of numbers, the stock is also in the FNO ban. It entered last evening. But in terms of numbers, what is the street expecting? We have Abhishek with us. Good morning, Abhishek.
Good morning, Nigel. Good morning, Mangalam. So to begin with, the asset under management growth, which was in 30-35% range, will come down to 20%, given the fact that the last week of September or last 10 days of September, they had actually stopped disbursing loans, may put pressure on the AUM growth or the loan book growth. The net interest margin, which was at 3.44% in the previous quarter, anything above 3.25% will be positive, given the fact that the cost of funds have been rising for them. The asset quality largely expected to remain stable. Gross NPA in the previous quarter was at 0.93%. Anything below 1% will be positive. But what we'll be watching is for the management commentary in terms of the cost structure and guidance, what has been the cost of funds, from October, November onwards, wherein they have redeemed a lot of commercial papers, and that has come in at elevated cost for across the players. So that will be seen very closely, and also guidance on the liquidity front in the company as to how long it is. As you mentioned, Mangalam, IND AS is being followed by DHFL. So YOY is not a comparable figure. So Phillip Capital on a quarter-on-quarter estimates NII to be down 2%, while net profit to be down 9%.
Okay, all right, Abhishek. Thanks very much for that. Well, Manisha joins in now to tell us an update on all the cues from the commodity currency space. Manisha, morning.
Well, thank you so much for that. The news yet again is in the crude oil prices, where we saw 6 to 7% declines in the overnight market in the New York session. That is, well, we have been talking about how the how the crude oil prices are in the bear market already. You have the U.S. crude oil prices down 31% from October highs, and the Brent prices now are down 29% from the October highs. The latest sell-off, of course, comes in on the back of a broader market sell-off, where we have seen the global equities decline. The investors do seem to be dumping the riskier assets. And, of course, there are concerns about rising supplies, growing fears of economic slowdown. We also have seen higher supplies from Russia, US, OPEC, etc. And there are oppositions coming in from US and EIA on supply cuts proposed by OPEC. So the markets are not very sure on which way the 6th December meeting of OPEC will lead to, and that has led to further decline in prices. So you have seen the speculative longs actually continue to be cut down on the weaker side. Some more pressure now on, not ruled out in crude, as the momentum clearly was on the weaker side here. Also, you are looking at the metal prices continue to decline. There is strength in US dollar back again. If you look at the other commodity currencies, they have continued to decline. So you have gold prices trading in the negative in the morning today. You also have seen further decline come in for nickel, zinc, copper. All of these metals have opened weaker in Asia today.
All right, Manisha, thanks a lot for that. Meanwhile, just keep an eye out on the Asian markets. We've seen a fair bit of recovery from the lows. The Nikkei has now recovered about 200 points from the lows of the day, still sitting with a cut. However, it's much lower than what it was earlier. The Hang Seng opened about 230, 240 points lower, is now sitting with a cut of just about 70 points. And the Shanghai is all but in the green, just about 5 points lower as we speak. The SGX Nifty at the start of the show indicated a 10-point downtick, which was still an outperformance as compared to the other peers, has now reversed those as well, now sitting with a cut of just about 4 points. So this is something that we will keep an eye out on. Conversely, even the US futures are at the high point of the day. But that's as far as the indices are concerned. For all the stocks that are in the news this morning, we have Sonal Butra, who joins in this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Mangalam. Well, Dr. Reddy's will be in focus because of the positive news coming in for the company. Apart from that, there's one more positive news. The company has received US FDA nod for one of the drugs which is used for general anesthesia. So that is something positive for the company. Aviation stocks will also be in focus because DGCA has come out with the monthly data for the month of October. Well, the passenger growth has come in at 13% on a YY basis. It is a decline with respect to the last month, but that is because of the festive season change. And Citi says that they expect some demand to come back in the month of November because the festive season has shifted to November. However, the market share for Indigo, that increased by around 330 basis points on a YY basis to 43%, saw a decline of around 30 basis points on a month-on-month basis. Other stock that will be in focus is Excel Industries, because CRISIL has upgraded the long-term rating for the company, and they have reaffirmed the short-term rating for the company. Bank of Baroda and HDFC Bank will also be in focus, because Bank of Baroda has sold 4% stake in CCIL to HDFC Bank for a sum of around 124 crore rupees. Bajaj Finance has issued NCDs worth 200 crore rupees. Some stocks will also be in focus because of positive brokerage action coming in for them. Nomura has upgraded Container Corp to a buy, and they have a target price of 800 rupees per share. They think that the recent price hikes will absorb the hike that we saw in the rail freight. Also, the volumes are expected to remain robust as roadways are facing fuel cost problems. Apart from that, Sun TV is in focus because Citi that has raised the FY19 EPS estimates by 2%. However, they have lowered the FY21 EPS by 4%. They maintain a buy, but they've cut the target price to 800 rupees per share. Back to you.
Okay, all right, Sonal. Thanks very much for that. Well, Mangalam, over to you then. What are you seeing in the F&O space?
Well, there were some incremental positives that we saw in yesterday's trading session, despite the fact that, the Nifty failed to sustain above the 200-day moving average. So 10,751 as well as 10,720, which is the 50-day moving average, would be key levels that we will be watching out for in today's trading session. But while the Nifty fell about 107 points, the Nifty futures premium actually tripled from just about 5 points to 15.75 points. That's telling you that yes, there was some purchase at low levels. Purchase there was, which was confirmed by the data that came in later in the evening. The FIIs bought about 170 crores in index futures, and majority of that was on account of short covering. Close to around 2,000 short contracts were covered. About 900 long contracts were added. The FIIs, who were 29% long at the start of this series, now stand at 41% long exposure in the index futures. In index options, though, there was some signs of profit taking, where they sold about 738 crores in terms of index options. There was unwinding in long calls and addition of short calls, so that is a trend we will keep an eye out on. But the put call ratio has given up some of its levels, 1.72, currently at 1.64. Some easing seen out there, some writing seen at the 10,800 call, and 10,700 put writers ran a bit for cover. All said and done, important to watch out for how the markets do pan out in today's trading session. There was some purchase in index futures, and DHFL, that stock is the one that I'll be watching out for today. There are results, and the stock has entered F&O.